over the last couple months, I've basically been online a lot, as most Zoomers are, and I've seen a really large faction on the right go anti-Israel. But what's been concerning me the most has been I've seen this growing faction in Christendom that's basically kind of starting to pounce on what you would call a dispensationalist or a Christian Zionist perspective, you know, labeling it heresy and stuff like that. And at first I thought it was just like, you know, social media distortion, whatever, the usual Nick Fuentes types. But I've had friends and family members even tell me that, you know, holding any sort of Christian Zionist or dispensationalist perspective is like straight up Christian heresy. And I'm used to hearing that from Catholics and stuff, but like now that I'm hearing like who are seemingly ardent, you know, fellow Protestant believers, evangelicals saying this, like, I guess I'm wondering, where do you think this is coming from? And what do you think is the best way to handle that as an evangelical Christian that maybe not, I'm not necessarily a dispensationalist, but I don't think it's good to label that heresy.
Right, well, a good question to ask them is, what is a heresy?
Yeah, and they usually say, okay, sorry.
No, I was going to say, because theologians almost universally agree when it comes to eschatology, the only true heresy is preterism, which means people who think that everything that happened in the Bible, including the book of Revelation, has already happened, that Jesus has already come and set up his kingdom. It's quite obviously he hasn't, okay? But every other eschatological viewpoint is not a heresy. And people who are Bible believers and scholars will argue over, is it dispensationalism, is it historic dispensationalism, you know, is it partial preterism, is it, you know, postmillennialism, amillennialism, you know, all these different viewpoints. Is there a rapture, is there not a rapture? I just tell people, look, I'm not on the planning committee, I'm on the welcoming committee. All right?
All right, thank you.
And when Jesus comes back, I'll welcome him. But it's not a heresy to be a dispensationalist. It never has been. So they have to make the case it is. But people throw terms around with not understanding what the meaning really is, or the meaning is so fuzzy. That's why you got to stop and say, what do you mean by heresy? How did you come to that conclusion? What evidence do you have for that? You may not agree with it, that's fine. But look, I think God, just like he kept his first coming veiled, he's keeping his second coming veiled.